Welcome to another episode of Purpose. I'm your host, Brittanni Zonker. I'm filming inside of the beautiful studios of West Hollywood, California, Focus TV Network. On today's show, I have Tess Cacciatore. She is an incredible leader of women and of the Global Women's Empowerment Network, as well as a very best-selling author from Homeless to the White House.
Homeless to the White House, yes.
This is amazing. Welcome to the show, Tess.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm so excited to be with you.
Yes, you have quite the story to tell. I want to start from where you grew up.
Okay, well, I grew up in Des Moines, Iowa. I'm a Midwest girl, and I'm really happy to say that. I'm very proud of being from the Midwest. I know every region of the country and every region of the world, there's always good things to say about it, but I particularly love growing up in the Midwest because it just felt like there was good work ethic. It was a very safe environment. We used to sleep, go to sleep with our car doors open and keys in the car and doors open and unlocked. And it was just a very different time than it is today.
Do you think people still do that in Des Moines?
No.
No, okay.
No.
I think there's parts of the country that people still leave their doors unlocked.
I hope so. That would be really good. I'd love to visit those towns.
Yeah. Well, you can find them with all the powerhouse things you do. I'm sure they need you. So you started in Des Moines, grew up, raised with those good roots. And what was your schooling background, high school and college?
So I went to Dowling High School, which is a Catholic private high school, and it was a really great school and environment. I'm still friends with a lot of my high school mates. We just had a reunion this past summer.
Oh, fun.
So it was fun to see everybody after all those decades. And we just, it's just hometown and home feeling. It was really special. And college, I went to Missouri. I was one of the few people that stepped out of the state. Most of the people stayed local, went to Iowa State or University of Iowa, and I went to Columbia, Missouri, to Stevens College. And that was a fine arts college, so I got a BFA in 3 years and 2 summer stocks. So I got a lot of really good experience, well-rounded education.
Good for you. And to branch out, I mean, it would be easy to stay in Des Moines, I'm sure, or stay in a small town and just be content with life. But you were like, I'm ready for more. I need to branch out.
Yeah, my mom said when I was 5 years old that I was going to go to New York and be a dancer. And so she put me in dance class a couple of years later, and the rest was history. I couldn't wait to fly the coop, so to speak. Even though I love Des Moines, I love my hometown and my roots, but I think I was born to fly. So I went to New York right out of college. And,
did you?
Yeah, just
for
jumped
dance,
right in.
or you just were going to
dance, music, theater. I did off-Broadway. I did soap operas. I did a talk show back then. It was one of the first cable networks that were launching. So it was back in the day, long before you were probably alive. And they would say, cable TV, what's that? And MTV, that's never going to last. And then look at this decades later.
Amazing. So you started in entertainment after college. That was a big passion for you.
Yes.
What's your favorite type of entertainment to do personally?
Personally, I love it all. I like this format right now more than anything because we get to dive into topics and transform our lives through storytelling, which is what our mission is now. And I just think that when I look back on my life, the storytelling aspect has been really important. So going all the way back to 2nd grade, I wrote my first little short story, and in 3rd grade I wrote my first poem, and I won a national contest. It was about the American flag.
Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting. I never put that connection together, the American flag and the White House and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
You're like, reprint the book.
Reprint the, I wish I had that poem. I wish I had that poem.
Maybe you'll find it, or maybe it'll come back to you.
Well, my parents moved out of the house that we grew up in long ago, and believe me, over the years, even in college days, I was digging through the boxes going, where's the poem? I want to find the poem.
Right.
But it was just one of those things that drifted out into the universe somewhere.
And that's okay. It came when you needed it, and it went when it needed to.
I was in 3rd grade, so what do you expect?
Yeah, that's okay. The cleaning out the parents' house, that's a big task.
Yes.
Yeah, especially with kids.
Yes.
So after college, you went to New York and you started your blossoming career as well as the talk show platform and getting into storytelling. So in that transition from college to going into a career, what would you say your biggest purpose was?
The biggest purpose was really about following my dreams at that point. I wasn't politically active. I wasn't globally traveled. I was really just had my sights on the entertainment industry and really making a difference. And then when I look back and connect the dots, it really is about that storytelling.
Yes.
That talk show was about diving in and getting to know people and interviewing people. It was about writing scripts and writing poems, and then I turned into writing songs. So I did a lot of songwriting in my 20s as well.
Good. I think that's therapeutic.
Yes.
Too. It's a lot like if people journal or need their expression outward.
Yes, and
right?
music is obviously the communication, the global communication. You know, you see music transforms lives, and it takes us back to memories. It shifts emotions. It inspires people. It gets people to mobilize onto the streets and say, "We stand for this," or it makes you cry over a sentimental memory. Music is so powerful.
It is. What's your favorite type?
I love every kind of music. You know, I danced hip hop in Asia, so I love hip hop.
I'm like, prove it, Tess.
Yeah, I'm
prove
gonna dance on the
it.
coffee table right now. Give me some music.
Cue some, yeah, exactly. Cue the music.
Tabletop, yes. I love every kind of music because it's expression. So country, pop, classical, you know, just everything. The old standards are really fun. I was just listening to Eva Cassidy singing Autumn Leaves because it's not so autumny here, but across the United States, the leaves are falling and those autumn leaves begin to fall. So I love every kind of music.
And do you still write?
Yes, I do.
You do. I think you should write for artists and sell your songs.
Well, I would love that. I do have a song that I wrote in my 20s. And it ties to the book, actually, which is very interesting. I wrote it when, I think it was 1984, and it was called Politics of Love. And then fast forward up to 2011, I was, you know, starting to work with this man who wanted to run for president of Congo, which is in the opening of the book. And he said, I think I want to name my campaign Politics of Love. And I said, wait a minute, I have a song by that title from several years ago. And I just moved into this house, and I went to the garage, so there was boxes everywhere, and I just happened to see, I think it's in this box. And I opened up the box, and there was my 4-inch vinyl blue zippered portfolio, you know, the plastic ones, and inside of it was the lyrics on typewriter and paper, because we didn't have computers back then. I sound like I'm from the Dog and Pony.
When you mess up a letter and you have to like start the whole thing over, or write it out. That's beautiful though that you found it.
I found it, and then typed it into the computer so it didn't have to fade off that paper, and then produced the song. And we had all these beautiful Congolese people that came into the recording studio. So they started, we did a voiceover of them chanting Stand Up for the Women and Children in 4 different languages. Wow. So that song got nominated for World Music and the Hollywood Music and Media Awards, and now we're getting ready to possibly attach it to the Congolese election, which is coming up, hopefully in December. They need to have the election. There's some really atrocious things that are happening in Congo right now. So we're looking at maybe having that song be part of one of their campaigns.
That would be wonderful. Because like you said, music speaks to so many people, and then if it can draw the attention as well to the election or make a difference, that's all your impact. And look, it happened years before.
I know, 1984.
You had already planted that seed, and then it almost came to you, what you had already created. And so from working in New York, and then we jumped to the Congo, how did you get to all of these different steps in your life? Did you just have such an easy path, or were you going through some difficult times?
It definitely was the difficult time path. I think I chose that, you know, for a reason, because I do think that we do have choices. You know, I could have stayed in Iowa and had a different life. I could have gotten married and had children. I could have done a lot of things. But I think when I look back, that thread is really my purpose in life. So when I lived in New York, it's exposed in my book. I have a chapter called Escape from New York, and it's not a pretty picture. But I escaped from an abusive relationship and came out to California. And it just opened up a whole new world out here. And there's a lot of things that happened between that time and the presidential run of Congo, which happened in 2011.
Because I imagine you had to gain a lot more strength personally to be able to overcome your personal situation, relocating, trying to continue to heal from that emotional and physical abuse, to then be able to help others. Right?
Yeah, and that's been a continual journey. You know, I really believe one of our cornerstones is that everyone has a story, and everyone has a story to share that is important and relevant to be able to inspire other people. I believe that it's really important for us to be able to Reveal to Heal, which is our social media hashtag that we're creating this movement that goes in sisterhood with the Me Too and really getting the ability to have a safe place to share our stories.
And so how do you feel your personal connect with your healing has helped you with your purpose?
Well, it allowed me to write the book. I think that was my, my milestone, even though it took me 8 years to write the book, which is a long time. My next book will come out much quicker. We can talk about that as well. But I still, while I was writing the book, I was still experiencing things. The impetus of me wanting to write the book was when I was landing in LA from Africa, from Ghana. And my heart was broken and I had this whole upset, but that upset and that heartbreak was really imperative for me to unlock something that I had buried years ago. And it's really relevant, what's happening in the world today is being able to come out and share our stories. It took me from 1992, 93 to just this past June to really have the courage to tell my story. So all the things that are happening in the media right now where they discourage people and say horrible things about why did it take her or him that long to tell their story, we never know what that journey is.
And I think giving people grace in their own process, and when you're able to heal and reveal and share with other people what you've gone through, then that's the right time for your life.
Yes, you never can tell what the time is. And sometimes it's triggered by an event. Like with me, when I was landing from Ghana, I said, oh my gosh, this is significant to me. This was just a little snapshot of where I think it was going, but I was smart enough in self-preservation to say, I'm not going to continue with that relationship. But then I had to have the courage to kind of look in the dark cave and the dark shadows and say, okay, now it's time. So it took me a long time to journal, and I was still going through things. I became homeless from the Congo Project. And
how?
So the man who was running for president took me into Africa, and I'd already been there several times. Ghana I considered to be my second home. I have many, many lovely sons and daughters in Ghana that I still am connected to. And I went to Ghana, then I went to Angola, and I was on the campaign with him, and then I went into Congo by myself, which is where the book opens with me at gunpoint. There was a soldier across the street from me pointing a gun and walking very briskly towards the car, pointing at me because I was filming the presidential monument, and you're not allowed to film there. And if they would have found out that I was there undercover doing this story of this man who wanted to go up against the current president, it could have been disastrous. So there was many times during that trip that I almost didn't come out alive. And when I went to Belgium to finish his story, he kept promising and dangling the carrot, which is the whole premise of the rabbit hunter and the dangling the carrot. And how often do we get in any industry that carrot dangling, that someone says, come down here to this path and I'm going to promise you this and that, but they actually have a different motive or a different intention. I'm not sure what his motive or intention was. I'm hoping that, things resolve and he ends up eventually paying me, which is in conversation now after 8 years, which would be really lovely. But when he didn't pay me and he sent me home in the middle of the winter with €100, which is equivalent to about $60 in US, he owed me $36,000. And so
how long had you been there?
I was on the road for 2 months, but I had been working with him previously leading up to that trip. So when I came back, I had no way to pay my car payment and my rent and all this stuff. So I gave away and sold all my belongings, a few things I stuck into storage, and then I went for about 16 months and moved 12 times. And I was never on the street, but I was close enough to see that the plight of the homeless issues is really important to me, and we can talk about that as well. But my experience, I didn't have a drug addiction, and I didn't have living on the streets in a tent or a shopping cart. I really had a safe place to live every night. I didn't ever sleep in my car, but I was that close by. So,
but I feel like still you were homeless, and whether it's an actual roof above your head that you're supporting or whether it's somebody else extending it to you, you still did not have your own home.
I did not have my own.
And you're not trying to portray it like, I was on the streets in a tent, but it was
disconcerting for obvious reasons. But I'm Italian and I'm a cancer girl and I love my home and my belongings and my little home pillows and everything. The little home pillow. So it was really hard for me.
Of course.
But I had to keep the blinders on. I had my 2 suitcases and my 2 cat carriers, and I kept on trucking. And I went and was a family chef at one place and helped my best friend move back from Florida, and a variety of things. But I moved around, and it was very hard because at any given moment, I didn't know if I was going to have to move.
Right.
And so it was a really difficult
Do you
time.
think things in the Congo taught you bravery, or do you think that was always in you?
I think it always had to be in me because back in my 20s, before I became an activist and part of human rights, I was an entertainer, and I was brought to Honduras, and it was during the Nicaragua invasion. And I didn't know anything about Central and South America and wars and all that stuff. I was just, you know, a girl who sang and danced and all that.
Yeah.
And when I went down to Honduras, it opened my eyes a lot because it was my first experience in a developing country. And I saw little kids, like little 8-year-olds running through the streets with big rifles. And I had no idea. You know, we went down there to perform. When I got down there, there was a riot that broke out in the stadium that we were performing in because there was so much inner turmoil. And it opened my eyes a lot. So I think the building blocks of my experiences and my global travels. And before Congo, I was able to go and do some humanitarian work in Cambodia and Thailand and El Salvador and Vietnam and Sri Lanka. And I've had a really blessed life to be able to see many places in Africa and do a lot of work to give back, because that's what I feel is my main purpose of all these stories that I can tell. It really comes down to one thing, is to be in service of people and in service of God, and what my main purpose is.
And I think you have an incredible purpose, and your different purposes and transitions in your life keep preparing you to reach people on a bigger scale, and not just women. But I do want to touch on Gwen, which you're the co-founder and CEO of, which is the Global Women's Empowerment Network.
Yes.
So what is your goal with the network?
So I always have to say we do Gwen with the men, because I believe that it's the synergy of the male and feminine coming together, the masculine and feminine coming together, and
Which
that's,
we both we have
we
each
both have
inside of
within-
us.
Yes. That's the integration within ourselves, within our feminine and masculine, but also with our male counterparts in society and in our relationships, because there's so much male energy right now that's compassionate and supportive of women's voices being heard, and that gets me really excited. On the flip side of the coin, you know, all the things that are happening right in front of us in Capitol Hill right now with the Supreme Court election, we need 3 hours to discuss that whole atrocity of what's going on, and what's going to turn out to be, could be, I mean, right now we're in history-making times, and I believe that we're at the precipice of really making a lot of changes for women's rights, gender equality, human rights, and it has to be done for both sides and for all of humanity.
And so your network does that through different films, different talk shows. What are the main things that people can get involved with or watch with Gwen?
So
Gwen with Men.
Gwen with Men.
Gwen with Men.
We do have men programming. So transforming lives through the power of storytelling is our mission statement. So I believe that goes with anything. So in the Gwen Studios side, which is a production company, we have 4 pillars. We have the TV series, we have the films, which could be documentaries, features, or shorts. We have the book division, which I'll tell you about in a second, because that's really exciting. And we have the music division, which is the underbelly of everything, because that music connects.
These are like the basis
Little
of
pillars
you.
of me.
Yes.
And so my book was the one that launched the Gwen Books division, and it's run by Kate Batten out of the UK, and she's a multi-international bestseller. And so I'm really excited to invite you, your viewers, the world, to come on board and be able to share their stories. So we have anthology books that are launching. We'll be able to reveal our first celebrity anthology. So each anthology has a celebrity co-author, and then 15 to 20 other authors will be chosen to share their stories in a chapter format. And we're going to be covering off, you know, topics like sexual assault, domestic violence, sex trafficking, addiction of any form, whether it's prescription drugs or street drugs, and homelessness issues. So we're going to tackle a lot of really powerful issues, and we're going to showcase people that have survived from it, and show that people are not alone. No matter what you're going through, there is an out, there is a way, and we want to offer a safe place. So on our website that's going to be unveiling very soon, it's going to have a way to be able to upload your story and edit it through our technology platform. You'll be able to share your story within our community. You can be a part of our Gwen Books. And then we're launching our whole TV platform that's going to be streaming on multiple devices for our films and TV series.
Your life is impactful and your life has been hard too, but I think your bravery and your pursuit of your passion and to help people makes you continue to rise. So I want to thank you so much, Tess, for coming on the show. We need more hours with Tess, everybody. If you're like me, I just want to keep going. But if you want to follow Tess and her journey, again, the Gwen Network, of course, it's Gwen with Men, but you can go to the website which will be launching and tell everybody else how they...
It's Gwen.global, so it's easy. It's a new extension, which I love the fact that we can now use global as the extension. So Gwen.global is the place that you can go, and right now it's under construction, but you can see the mainframe of what we do and our main purpose and mission. So so much stuff is happening this fall, so I'm really excited.
And if you want to get Gwen's, or I said Gwen, your name should be Gwen. I'm like, Gwen, you kind of look like a Gwen.
Everyone's been telling me I should change my name.
Well, you could. Everybody in LA has a fake name, I guess, right?
Yeah, that'll be my
alias.
Name. You can call me Gwen.
So if you guys want to get the book as well, it's Homeless to the White House. And Tess Cacciatore, you're doing amazing things.
Thank you.
Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Purpose. I'm your host, Brittanni Zonker, and I will see you next time.